This is it. Bright, sunny Florida. Come and get you some of this. We've had about 3 months straight. It's like torrential downpour in the afternoon. Totally sucks. Very difficult to get any work done. It's just absolutely brutal. Personally, I've never seen it like this. I don't know what the deal is. I've been here 40 years and I don't ever remember it being like this. So, I just don't know. And, it is what it is, and you gotta adjust and everything. One of the things we've had to do with the roofing business is that we don't tear the whole house off. We'll just tear a section off, one side, and then we'll get it nailed back on and everything, just in case something like this happens. And it's extremely difficult because it breaks your stride. When you're sitting there and you're in the groove and you're getting this thing going and it's like a well-oiled machine, and it's just amazing how this roofing crew works and everything. They're all Latino. They're not on their phone. They come, they do a job, they take pride in what it is that they do. And I hear that from customers all the time. It's like they talk very little. They're not up there yakking and everything like that. And it's like, yeah, they're there to do a job and they're to get done and get gone, to move on to the next one and everything, they come from a situation where they don't have the opportunities like we do in this country. And, we're spoiled. We all want $25 an hour to start pushing a broom. And we don't want to get it to work till 8 o'clock and this and that. And I hear it all the time. The Mexicans are taking our job. No, you won't get out of bed and do the job. And then when you will do the job, you think you're getting way underpaid. You're just not worth $25, $30 an hour to start. So regardless, here we are. It's all coming down and everything like that. But we're just waiting it out and give it about 15, 20 minutes. It'll be, blown over. Sun will be out. All right, so here it is, Saturday morning. Got some hustle in the mug and everything like that. And you got to see what we're having to deal with every day here in Florida for the last, seems like 20 years, but realistically about 3 months. And it's starting to get to where it's not days straight. And so we've had a few good days this week. We've got some work completed, and we're just kind of trying to move along and, make a living. And, the roofers need to make some money. Everybody needs to make some money. It's just real difficult when you're in the construction trades. The majority of your work's outside and everything, and just trying to get that going and make it happen and everything, And one of the things that, I hear a lot of people come to me and ask, and then I also see them asking other, people that are vocal about what they do and sharing their experience. And, a lot of people are not real big on trying to find the answers themselves. They're real big on somebody basically spoon feeding it to them. And they really don't want to take the risk. They don't want that commitment. They don't want that effort. And so I'll give you an example. Something that happened to me is I was working for the cable company and I ended up getting fired. And I don't know if I've ever told you this story or not, but there's a guy, we used to have a poker game that we got together and played 3 times a week. It was a huge game. And a lot of very successful people, a lot of multimillionaires that played with us. And there was a guy there that I asked to be my mentor, and I said, would you help me? And this is before really, coaches and mentors were popular. This is early 2000s when this took place. And this guy quit a job making $800 a day and gave his notice a year in advance. Crazy thing. He worked offshore. He would come home and he would go out. There's this guy that he ran into at this local watering hole that he always went. Said this guy's pockets were just slam packed full of money. And he asked the guy, I said, what are you doing? And he said, oh man, I'm cleaning carpets and everything. And then he proceeded to tell him on how he was basically being dishonest. He would dilute the solution so it would go further. He had to buy less. He could charge more Scotch Guard treatment or that or whatever. And so, the guy and my buddy was like, well, man, if this guy can do it, and if I was to do a good job and honest, surely I'll make more. And then I don't have to go back out on the boat and everything. So he did. And his name was Tom. And so I got Tom to kind of be my mentor, and I asked him, about making the plunge, becoming an entrepreneur. And after a few conversations, he finally said, look, this is the last time we're going to have this talk. You will never have a smooth transition going from being employee to self-employed, having to hustle. He said it will always be like stepping off a cliff in the middle of the night and not knowing how far you're going to fall. He said you get to set the date one time, change it, and then that's it. You and I have nothing else to talk about until you become self-employed. Well, guess what? About a week later, I get fired from the cable company. God did for me what I was not willing to do for myself. And I will never forget that day. I felt so elated. I felt like a huge burden had been taken off my shoulders. The gal that fired me, her name was Danielle. Still good friends today. I hugged her, gave her a kiss on the cheek, said thank you, and out the door I went. The thing is I would have fired me too, okay? I was not a corporate guy. I did not play that game well. I could not fly underneath the radar and everything like that. I was, fairly vocal about everything that I did. And, and I wasn't real good about following policy. Not at all. So, like I said, just being honest, being straight, I'd have fired me too. Okay. And I ended up, for some reason, I wanted a convenience store. Why on earth I did, I don't know. But that's what I thought that I wanted, okay? So I had about $52,000 in the 401k. So I figured it up and everything like that and figured that, I can get this store going, okay? Me and a partner had been buying truckloads of merchandise in what they call boxes, big box on a pallet, okay? These were shelf pulls, store returns, seasonal items, and then also items that were brought back for refunds or exchanges for whatever reason. We were selling that stuff out of a mini warehouse, and we quickly found out that as soon as summertime got there and it was becoming unbearably hot, people didn't want to get out of their car and walk around and shop because we had a bunch of tables set up. And so I started looking around, and all of a sudden this Benton Dent grocery store appeared on Craigslist. You gotta be old to remember what Craigslist is. And so I called the guy, went and talked to him and everything. I get there, this guy's got boxes of food on the floor, okay? You need to understand, I'm that guy that when I'm working on a Harley, I could have grease on my fingers and have that sandwich in my hand and eat it, okay? However, I'm even smart enough to know that the vast majority of people are not going to buy food that's going to go in their mouth off of the floor. Guy wasn't real sharp. Place looked horrible. And so I figured, and he was like, yeah, I just want $25,000 for everything. And I was like, that ain't happening. And so I talked to him some more and everything. We went back and forth for a week. And I don't know how it happened, but the guy that owned the building where the store was, he got in touch with me and said, hey, I hear you're interested. And I said, yep. He said, I'll make you a really great deal on it for your first year and everything like that. So I said, okay. And so I started researching this, having to do with these, dated groceries, discontinued, they call them salvage groceries. And so, and I got into that business. And I had that store for 3.5 years, okay? And it kind of took a transformation in the sense that it went from just dealing in those type of products to, we started carrying beer, cigarettes, and, a number of different items. So it was more of a convenience store, and it was like more than a convenience store, but less than a full-size grocery store, if that makes sense, okay? And I learned a tremendous amount of information by having that store, and some really fantastic lessons that would never have occurred if I'd gone to school or picked up, okay? I just would not have learned those, all right? It's absolutely fascinating on how people make a decision on what they're going to purchase. One of the things that happened in the store, and I'll tell you this, and it was mind-blowing, is how much things changed when I got shopping carts. And the thing is that as soon as somebody would come in, I'd say, oh, let me go ahead and get your shopping cart. Oh, I just need a few items. I said, well, there's no sense. It's a long day. You've worked hard and everything. Just put them in the cart and everything. It was a way to boost sales, because now they got a big cart. They're going to fill it up, or they're more likely to put more items in there than if they had to pick up a loaf of bread and a gallon of milk. Now your hands are full, okay? And it was just things like that, And you would have an item that would be on an aisle, and you would think, yeah, this is right at eye level and everything. It's going to move. Well, you couldn't sell it. I don't know why, but you just couldn't sell it. You put that thing on an end cap and double the price, boom, fly off the shelf. It was just amazing, And these are things that you would have never been able to tell me and say, hey, this is the way it works, Robert. I'd been like, nah, it don't work like that. Oh, yeah, it does, okay? And I say all of this to come to this, that having to do with the store, and what I learned from it is that, one, I got to be out moving and shaking. I can't be in the same place for 8 to 14 hours a day. That ain't happening, okay? I will never have anything with hours on the door that I have to show up and stay there for the whole day. Now, I might own a business, okay? And even though I don't drink and I'm in recovery, I would love to own a bar. They're great money makers, okay? But I don't know if I really want to do that, to go into that environment on a regular basis to make sure and watch my investment, okay? That's all there is to it, The thing about the grocery store is I had to be there. And the thing is that because of the location of where it was at, it was never going to make enough money to be what I consider to be worthwhile for my time, okay? And that was a huge mistake that I made on my part. However, from that point forward, I've carried it into every business endeavor I've started, and quite simply it is reverse engineering. How much money do you want to make? Well, I need to make $50,000 a year. Okay, well, if you take $50,000 and you divide it by 52 weeks, that's about $1,000 a week. It's redneck, okay? I do have bare feet on, so I can do the big math, okay? I don't have shoes on. But basically, that's $1,000, okay? Well, what is it that we need to do to be able to do that? Okay, well, let's just say we're cutting yards, okay? Push mower, ride-on mower, whatever it is, all right? We're not worried about purchase of equipment. We're just worried about how to make $1,000 a week. Well, if the average yard that you're doing is $50, then that means that you got to do 20 yards. Well, if you only want to work 5 days a week, that means you got to do 4 yards a day to hit 20 yards a week in a 5-day work week to make that $1,000. Well, I never asked myself, what's the average transaction in a convenience store? How long does a store last? They have a life expectancy, generally speaking, 7 to 9 years if it's a great location, less if it's not, okay? How much do you really make off a pack of cigarettes? There ain't no money in cigarettes unless you're moving a boatload of them, okay? Even less with a carton. You're lucky if you make $2 a carton, all right? Same thing with beer. 4-pack of beer, I think we were making 28 cents. That's it, all right? But you had what we call a quick sell-through. You know, you'd buy 5 cases, you'd sell 5 cases in a day, and so it made you money, so to speak. regardless, I never asked myself, how much do you want to make? And after 3.5 years of the store being open, I finally figured that, what? It's just never going to do the numbers that I would like for it to, okay? I wanted to work there 30 hours a week, have employees doing it the rest, and I wanted 6 figures coming out of there. Ain't happening. Nah, okay? So the very important lesson, and this has saved me millions of dollars in mistakes ever since then, is to ask yourself, what do you want to do? Where are you at? And then figure out how to bridge that gap. It's just the same as people come to me and say, Robert, I want to be richer. And I'm like, okay, here's a quarter. What's your next problem? No, that's not what I mean. You know what I'm saying. I want to be rich. And I'm like, I don't know what rich is. My rich, your rich, somebody else's rich might be 3 different definitions, okay? You first have to figure out exactly what it is that is rich to you. Is it an extra $50 a week, or is it extra $5,000 a week? You have to figure that out. What I'm saying is you figure out exactly where it is that you want to be at, where you're at now, and then figure out how to bridge that gap, because that path will become clear. But I guarantee this, if you don't ever set and figure out exactly what the destination is, the path to get there is going to be real squiggly, wiggly. Going to be difficult to get there. It's Rental Robert with the Hustle Nation. Have a fantastic day, and don't forget your coffee with Robert.